Here at Paddy Power, we're the home of the Money Back Special, with some incredible offers every single week. Check out the website or app today. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Hi there, thanks for joining us. It's the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, and joining me this week are Stuart Riley and David Jennings from the Racing Post, and Paddy Power's Frank the Tank Hickey. We are going to look ahead to Saturday's ITV action, which comes from Cheltenham. It's Trials Day and also Doncaster. And then on Sunday over in Naas, we've got two really interesting races with plenty more Cheltenham clues available. So countdown to the festival very much underway. Before we do shine the focus on Saturday's racing, now a couple of talking points from midweek. First of all, a little something for you flat fans. It was the world rankings announced, and Pinatubo, to no one's surprise, got a rating of 128, which makes him the best two-year-old in 25 years. So while the focus is mostly on Cheltenham right now, it's worth remembering that we're not too far away from Pinatubo's date with Destiny in the 2,000 guineas. Frank, is there anything that can titillate us with Pinatubo as far as betting goes from Paddy Power?
Yeah, we've put up a few specials there, Bruce. Pinatubo to win the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket and St James Palace Stakes, 2-1. Then to win the two of those races with the Irish 2,000 guineas, 9-4. We have to be unbeaten for the 2020 flat season, provided he runs three times. He's 9-2. And to win the English guineas and the Derby, we're 10-1.
Stu, start with you. What do you think Pinatubo will achieve in 2020?
I mean, I think he'll achieve the lot. He's one of those horses, isn't he? The last time we had a two-year-old come along like this, it was Frankel and Dream Ahead's year, and the two of them went on to be pretty special. He's got all the makings of being an absolute superstar, and you'd hate him to be a flash-in-the-pan two-year-old, wouldn't you?
You would, but there is a risk, isn't there, DJ? I mean, do you think he's going to absolutely smash everything aside this year, or do you have any nagging worries?
Yeah, I read a quote from, I should know who it was from. It was like one of the chief kind of guys that makes these ratings. And I think it summed it up perfectly. It was that this rating of 128 is based on what Pinatubo did as a two-year-old, not what he might achieve as a three-year-old. And I think that perfectly sums it up, Bruce. I think he was an absolutely exceptional two-year-old. In all likelihood, he's not going to be as good as Frankel as a three-year-old, I don't think. But he still might be good enough to win the Guineas. He probably will. I would say that rating was deserved and what he achieved, basically from what he did at the Curragh. That performance at the Curragh was the best performance I have seen from any horse ever at the Curragh. It was absolutely breathtaking. So yes, he deserves his rating for his two-year-old career, but I'm yet to be convinced whether he'll match Frankel as a three-year-old.
Frank, did you have any slight concern that from what he did at the Curragh to what he did at Newmarket kind of potentially hinted at regression, or am I getting unduly concerned? Because I want this horse to be a superstar. Racing needs all the stars it can.
Yeah, he probably, he wasn't as spectacular, but at the same time, as David said, his rating is justified, and he doesn't even have to improve to win a Guineas. If he just replicates that level of form, he probably won't be beaten. Almost certainly won't. I would have a small doubt about him if they tried to stretch him out for the Derby trip, but I think as far as Guineas is concerned, if he stays around the mile for the year, something's going to have to really improve to reach his level.
Okay, back to the jumps, and on Thursday, a cracking card in the fog at Gowran Park. Thyestes Chaser was a Willie Mullins benefit, and so indeed was the Gamble Hurdle, because Benny de Dieu was absolutely breathtaking, DJ. And I thought there were some really interesting quotes from Willie afterwards. I expected sort of classic Mullins evasion where, he didn't really tell us too much, but I mean, he said that she could be better than Annie Power. He said that, and really tellingly, I thought he said that performance had Stayers Hurdle, Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle now, Frank, I believe you're sponsoring it, written all over it. So what did you make of Benny de Dieu, and where do you think she'll run at the festival, David?
I thought she was fantastic. Obviously, the race completely fell apart with Apple's Jade, who was not on a going day. But as you said, the reaction was fascinating, Bruce, because I was there, I was working, I spoke to Willie and Paul, and I think it was the first time from both that I've seen them quite surprised in a while. And first of all, Paul, Gary O'Brien on Racing TV put the question to him, obviously she's going to go for the Mayor's Hurdle, but if she did, if she did pitch into the Stayers Hurdle, she'd give Paisley Park something to think about. And Paul was like, yeah, God, like on the back of that performance, she definitely would. And then Willie kind of said, it's putting doubts in his head as well. The only thing is, and I personally think she would win the Stayers Hurdle. I think she's more talent than Paisley Park. She mightn't be as kind of gritty and determined as Paisley Park. She's more fragile, but I think she's got more ability, and I think she would win a Stayers Hurdle. But if history has taught us anything, Willie Mullins will go for the race that he thinks he's got the best chance of winning, and he wants to bank her. He wants to be going to Cheltenham on the Tuesday knowing we're definitely going to get one on the board. And judging by yesterday's performance, it would take something extraordinary to beat Benny to do in the Mares Hurdle, and I think that's where she'll go.
Does he have a potential backup, though, for the Mares if he did want to go for the Stayers?
Well, Lorena would be the backup. She obviously burst a blood vessel at Leopardstown over Christmas. It just depends on what route they want to take with her. If they decide she burst a blood vessel, we're going to take things a bit easier with her. Let's run her over hurdles instead of putting the gun to her head over a fence again. She is the alternative. They've got Stormy Ireland as well, who runs in Ireland at the weekend. So they have a couple of alternatives. Probably not alternatives to beat Honeysuckle if Honeysuckle goes for the Mares Hurdle. But what a race it would be if Benny Dedu ran against Paisley Park. Like, that would really light up the Thursday, just like it was lit up last year.
Well, let's ask Frank. How would you price that one up?
I think they'd be very close in the betting personally. Like, the other thing about it is if Honeysuckle goes out and wins the Irish Champion Hurdle in devastating fashion and they stick to the Mares Hurdle, which I doubt they would, but let's just say hypothetically that's what they do, would the Mares race be any easier than the Stayers Hurdle then? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is the trouble. We're going to have this brinkmanship, aren't we? Because, Honeysuckle, I think the Champion Hurdle is going to be a lot easier to win than the Mares if Benny runs in the Mares. But, they're going to be sitting there waiting for the other one to blink, aren't they? It's no good for punters because we want to know what they're going to commit to. But, of course, that isn't going to happen. No,
but you could have the case where actually taking on Paisley Park in the Stayers would look maybe slightly easier than taking on Honeysuckle, or taking on Paisley Park in the Stayers would look easier than taking on Honeysuckle in the Mares. No, it's just something I was thinking about yesterday. But I personally, I think if they ran against each other, Paisley Park and Benny Dedu, I think they'd be very close in the market. I don't think there'd be a whole pile between them at all.
And just quickly, DJ, I mean, Apple's Jade, she hinted at, well, she didn't hint, she did return to form the previous time, but unfortunately the petrol tank ran out very, very early yesterday, which was a shame, wasn't it? So what do we make of Apple's Jade?
Yeah, were you following the betting beforehand, Bruce? No?
I did have a quick look and saw she was a lot bigger than she was in the morning.
So basically, no, just before the off. It's very rare I've seen such a move so late. Now, it did happen similarly at Christmas. But basically, at about 6 or 7 minutes before the race, you could back Apple's Jade at 3.15 on Betfair. Apple's Jade went off favoured on Betfair. Like, you can say that, obviously, they returned even money in 11-8, even money Benny Dedu, 11-8 Apple's Jade. But she was favoured. There was a massive late plunge on her in Betfair. It was absolutely extraordinary. There was fortunes for her, which would suggest, everything was right. And she's just starting to sulk. She really is. When she gets taken on up front and, she can't get her own way, she's turned into a little bit of a madam, and she just completely threw in the towel, leaving the back straight at Gowran Park. There's a kind of an uphill incline to the home straight, and it was just game over. That was it. So she ran no sort of race. I'd say her swan song will be in the Stayers Hurdle in Cheltenham. I'd say just try and get her ready for that, to try and send her out on some kind of a high, and I think that will be her last race.
OK, let's get stuck into Saturday's action, starting with 150 at Cheltenham. It's the Festival Trials Day Trophy Handicap Chase over 2 miles, 4 furlongs. Frank, how do Paddy Power bet on this?
Yeah, Hobby 101 and Warthog are both 4-1. Spirit of Games 9-2. Layler 5-1. My Way 15-2. T-Paz and Count Maribel are both 9-1 and we're 14th bar.
Well, Layla's the one that interests me after his return to form. Who interests you most here, Stu? Who are you going to be backing?
The one that first caught my eye was right down the bottom of the weights. My Way of Paul Nicholls gets in off 10 stone. I thought that was very interesting. Watched his last run at Ascot. Very impressive behind Espoir de Guy. I just think he might find another Venetia Williams horse too good. The one right up the top, Cepage. Really interesting. At the beginning of the season, he was second to Riders of the Storm. Riders of the Storm was off 140 that day. He's now a 162 horse. So Cepage has gone up, £7 in that time. He was favourite for the Caspian Caviar off a £1 higher mark 2 starts ago. This is a weaker race than that. Like, everything seems lined up. Venetia's horses are in great form, and I think at 9-1 he looks a cracking bet.
DJ, who's your selection?
I like Highway 101 here, Bruce. Couple of things. I think he's got some really strong form at Cheltenham. He was second in the Novices Handicap Chase at this very card last year. A really good run. And then if you go back to the run in April where he was third to Mr. Whittaker in the Grade 2 at the April meeting over the same course and distance, like, he led over the last that day and finished a close-up third off this mark. I thought that was a real solid run. Go back to he ran over 3 miles at Kempton last time and he kicked clear, traded at 1.4 and running. And just a 3-mile trip just caught him out. He's an early horse. He's going to win one of these handicaps. I think 2.5 miles on the new course at Cheltenham is perfect for Highway 101. And the fact that Chris Gordon has sent out 2 winners from his last 5 runners, and there were big prices, 16-1 and 13-2. His team are starting to show a bit of form. And I think Highway 101 off 145. I think he's well capable of winning a race like this. So Highway 101 for me.
DJ, listening to you in full flow there, reminding me of a tweet I got this week. This fella said, I love the postcards. He said, but could you, he said, do you speed them up? He said, everyone talks so fast, I can't understand it. So I tweeted him back, I said, no, that's just David Jennings, that's just how he talks. So he said, oh, okay, fair enough. The next day I get one saying, you won't believe it. He said, I've been listening to it sped up on plus 1.5 speed. No wonder I couldn't. So it wasn't you. I just assumed it was you. But no, he was actually watching it, listening to it too quickly. But anyway, hopefully now he's watching it on normal speed. He can understand what everyone's saying. And let's hear who Frank's first tip of the day is.
Yeah, I'm going to take a chance on Count Maribel for Nigel Twiston-Davies. Of course, he had a big weekend last weekend. This horse had some form at the track. He won a Novice Chase last year, beating the Broyle, and Broyle Frank Dash best win the 4-miler. He had a very good reappearance at Carlisle. He was only 2.25 lengths behind Lost in Translation, well clear of the third and fourth that day. My Old Gold went and won at Donny on her next start. He's on a fair enough mark, I think, on 145. He was a bit disappointing in the Bet Victor Gold Cup, but he's been given a little bit of a break, freshen him up. I think he's not too bad fresh, so I think that might be the angle with him. And just with the yard in good form, I think he has a bit of an each-way chance. OK, the next race is a cracker, 225, the Cotswolds Chase, over 3 miles, 1 furlong. The market is wrong here, Frank. Give us the prices. Yeah, Santini 6-4, Bristol De Mai 9-4, Slade House 6-1, the Rasher Counter and Topfield Benner 15-2, and Mr. Whittaker 16-1. DJ, tell us why Bristol De Mai is the value here. Oh no! This happened before a couple of weeks ago and I got this completely wrong. Do you remember that with Froden and Top Notch? And you fancy Froden and I fancy Top Notch. And I know what's exactly going to happen here. You fancy Bristol De Mai, and I think Santini will win, and I think he'll win quite comfortably. He's got this reputation of being, overhyped. And I'm not sure if that's justified, to be honest with you, because I left Cheltenham last year thinking that was potentially the best RSA we've seen for a long, long time. Now, the form was obviously let down slightly afterwards on a couple of occasions, Delta Work at Down Royal. But Delta Work has come out now and won the Savills Chase. So we now know that he's a top-notch performer and he's a Gold Cup contender. And when you go back to that RSA, you remember the rush preparation for Santini and you watch the race again. And I just said to myself, this is a proper Gold Cup contender. Obviously, Sandown was a little bit of a disaster. He still won the race. I don't think that was the real Santini. He's had a wind operation since. And I just think these crop of novices that are coming through, I know Top of the Game is injured, but I just think they have the potential to be very, very good, including Delta Work. So I know you're going to say Bristol De Mai is going to win, but I think Santini is the up-and-coming force, and I think this is going to be the day when the up-and-coming forces are going to win. Whose side are you on here, Frank? Mine or DJ's? Or do you indeed look elsewhere? No, I'm going to go with DJ here. I think basically DJ's covered nearly everything there, except for Santini's had a wind up, I think, which might be interesting enough. I said that. Like, obviously, did you say that? Sorry, I didn't hear you say that. Yeah, so I just think everything's in place for him to run a big race. Bristol De Mai, obviously in ratings, he's a little bit clear, a tiny bit, but he was disappointing in Haydock, I thought. For all, Lost in Translation was good. And look, Santini's on an upward curve, and as David's already said, he'd interrupted preparation for the RSA and he's ran an active belter. And I think he'll win here, and I think he'll win handy enough.
Okay, come on, Stuart, it's left to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you, Bruce.
Well
I think
done,
that
mate.
Bristol De Mai, I mean, you're talking about a bona fide Grade 1 horse here. He's won the Betfair Chase twice. He was third in a Gold Cup last year. He's £6 clear of these on official figures. He's not given more than £3 away. And I think the thing here with Santini is, I mean, you can make the point, as Frank just has, that Bristol De Mai maybe wasn't as exceptional as we were hoping for behind Lost in Translation. Lost in Translation is a markedly better horse on everything we know to date than Santini. Santini may well be full of potential, but Bristol De Mai is a seriously good horse and the one to beat. He should not be much bigger in the betting than the horse that's all promise, really.
Well
We've not
done,
seen it yet.
Stu. Good man.
Yeah.
Right, okay, 3 o'clock at Cheltenham is the Ballymore Novice Hurdle. It's over 2 mile, 4 furlong. Frank, take it away with the show of betting and then tell us who's going to win.
Yeah, King Roland 6-4, Protector at 11-4, Harry Senior 130, Time Flies 5-7, House Island is the 8-1, and we're 12-1 bar. Yeah, I'm very keen on King Roland here. He's obviously won a point-to-point, won 2 bumpers. Those bumpers have worked out relatively well. The Utopter won on debut, he won by 22 lengths. The fourth is rated 120. The second's rated 117, so he wasn't beating complete mugs. He followed up at Fast Last. The third that day was Shake 'em Up Harry, who's finished behind Mr. Coffee and Shiskin in 2 of his hurdle starts this year. So again, the substance of the form, he conceded a penalty to him that day. He was beaten on his hurdles debut at Newbury by Son of Camas. That was on decent ground over 2 miles. He was staying on strongly, I thought, that day. He was very impressive at Exeter for all it was a nothing race the last day, winning by 19 lengths. To be honest, I'm going to have a few quid in him for the Ballymore there now shortly, and I think he'll win this impressively. I did a bit of looking at how many novice hurdlers Harry Fry has sent to the Cheltenham Festival in the last 5 years. And interestingly enough, he sent Neon Wolf to the Ballymore in 2017, went off 2-1 favourite, was beaten ahead second. He's had 3 runners in the Albert Barrett in that time. 2 big prize horses that were pulled up, and you know what I mean, Harry won at 11-1. So he doesn't just send horses to the festival for the sake of it, really. And this King Roland looks really good. I'd be surprised if he doesn't win tomorrow, and I think he could ultimately end up being the danger to Envoy Allen in the Ballymore.
Interesting. Do you share Frank's confidence, Stu?
I'll be very honest, when I looked at this race, I didn't really have much of a strong opinion, and I was sort of leaning towards Harry Senior. I think he's bumped into 2 fairly decent horses for his defeats this year, Sporting John and Edward Stone. They're both good horses, but I'm just going to jump ship and jump in with Frank there. That was
Happens
a very
that,
interesting
doesn't it?
case,
It does
wasn't
happen, doesn't it? Frank does that to you.
Yeah.
He metaphorically gets you by the lapels and just talks to you in that relentless way, and you just go, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Whatever I thought about this race, I'm wrong.
If only I could do that with my missus, I'd be delighted.
Well, from one man who doesn't wear the trousers to another, DJ, what do you fancy in this race?
It has worked, Frank. You've got a good one in Jill there, I think. I echo absolutely every single word, including the relationship advice that Frank has said there. This King Roland, just to go back to the backstory, this is fascinating. This horse is bred by the Cafra Enniskillen campus, so it's bred by students who are studying, and part of their course is basically they have to breed a horse. So it's a remarkable story, really. I hope we'll do something in the lead up to the Cheltenham Festival on it. And they've really, really unearthed a top horse here. I think he could be exceptional, and the fact that Frank thinks so too. I sometimes get carried away about these horses, and I love the likes of Mr. Coffee, who I was very impressed with first time, and he gets beaten at 1-3 next time. So you're always scared sometimes to blow one up. And this King Roland, just everything about him screams that he could be a star. Even when you go through his form, last time in the Fog at Exeter, he beat Thunderstruck by 19 lengths, and you kind of say, well, it was at Exeter, he was 2-7. What about it? Thunderstruck has form with Enrillo from earlier in the season. He's rated 124. He was beaten by Enrillo, who went on to win a Grade 2 and then was third in a Grade 1. Is rated 141. So the form tied in there is pretty strong. And he absolutely hammered Thunderstruck. He really did. I love the way he goes about his business. I think he's an exceptional horse. He's 25-1 for the Ballymore. As Frank said, I think he's a much better horse than that. I'd be really, really disappointed if he's beaten here. And he's the horse I'm most looking forward to seeing on Saturday.
You need to get down and write that feature up, DJ. That sounds like a blinder, that.
Absolutely, yeah.
OK, right then, 3:35. What a race we've got here. It's the GalliardHomes.com Cleeve Hurdle over 3 miles and the king of the staying hurdlers, Paisley Park, is back. He missed a race just before Christmas at Ascot because of the ground, but that's actually worked out to our benefit because we had a good race at Ascot. And this is competitive. There's 8 runners at the moment, so we've got each way interest as well. Frank, take it away with the show.
Yeah, Paisley Park is 8-13. If the cap fits 7-2, Somerville Boy 8-1, Lammy Surge 10-1, William Henry 16-1, and we're 20-1 bar.
What a race. No, we're with Stu. Stu, you're back to going first. What a race.
Yeah, it's a great race, and it's one of those. I mean, I love Paisley Park. He's a great horse, and if he stands up, he wins. I think from a betting perspective, the horse that really caught my eye at 10-1 each way, Lammy Surge, if it stays at 8 runners, I think it's a cracking bet. He's got such an engine on him. You saw it at Ascot last time. He's also an absolute monkey, as you saw at Ascot last time.
But that'll kind of help, won't
Absolutely. I think he's the horse that I can see having enough class to travel to the last hurdle with them. And okay, he might not go past them up the hill, but he's a really good horse, and the two of them can take him clear. I think he's a nice each way bet here.
Okay, DJ, good race this.
Yeah, Lammy Surge has ran 31 times in his career, and I'd say I've definitely backed him about 28 or 29 times. I love the horse. But do you know what? This is just a little bit above his level. I think he'll run well. I can't believe I'm saying this. I really can't. But I think the bet has to be if the cap fits. I've never really been in love with the horse, and I've always thought he's a little bit overrated. And I just wasn't sure about him. And then the more you delve into his form, the more you say to yourself, hold on here a second. We're dealing with something serious here. We really are. He gave £6 to Call Me Lord at Ascot when everything went perfectly for Call Me Lord over a trip much short of his best. Call Me Lord is rated 160, and he made bits of him, and he was well on top of the line. His only try at 3 miles at Aintree, when he absolutely clattered into the last, he gave £7 to Apples Jade, and that was an on-song Apples Jade that day. That was really Apples Jade when she was flowing properly. Roxana had won the Mayor's Hurdle. He gave both of those £7 over 3 miles. The only time he's tried 3 miles. He's unexposed over this trip, and he's really, really dangerous. It was only last night when I started going through all this that I said to myself, you know what, I haven't been giving this horse credit for what he's done. 7-2 is more than fair. And I hope Paisley Park wins, but I think he's going to have a fight on his hands here with if the cap fits. And at the prices, I'm going to side with it if the cap fits.
What's your view, Frank?
Yeah, I just think Paisley Park will win, to be honest. Nothing overly exciting in that. But if I was having a few quid in the race, I'd probably have a small bit on Lammy Surge without the fav. Just again, I could just see him travelling all right. I'm not a massive fan of the horse, but it might just set up for him to maybe nick second. If the cap fits goes a little bit early with Paisley Park, he might just be a little bit vulnerable to be nicked for second up the home run. But yeah, Paisley Park should win.
Okay, no love for Somerville Boy, DJ?
No, I can see people making a case for him. I don't know whether. I think he's quite deceptive. I don't know whether he'll get the trip, to be honest with you.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much indeed. That was Cheltenham. We're going to do Doncaster next.
So, does an each-way bet mean that my horse has to do part of the race in reverse?
Everyone loves a newbie. That's why Paddy Power Games are giving all new customers 60 free spins on daily jackpot games. New Paddy Power Games customers only, 1 per customer. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back. Let's look at Doncaster's 3 televised races. The first is the 205. It's the Albert Bartlett River Don Novice Hurdle over 3 miles. Frank, how do Paddy Power bet?
Yeah, Champagne Well and Bossman Fred are both 9-4. Thomas McDonough 7-2. Ramses Detari 5-1, and Eva's Oscar is 7-1.
And David Jennings, who will pass the post in front?
Oh, Bruce, I fancy nothing here. I can't. I tried and I went through it all, and you know me, I like to have a strong opinion. If I was really, really pushed.
No, you're not. No. Let's preach responsible gambling. You don't fancy anything.
No, I don't fancy anything at all.
I
can make a case for them all.
Who were you going to say?
I was going to say just about Thomas McDonough, but I wouldn't be tempted to back him at all. I fancy nothing.
Frank, do you fancy anything?
I thought Champagne Well would take a bit of beating based on his form this year. He's obviously a second season novice. He was 6th to Champ in Aintree over 2.5. Second to Time Hill in November at Cheltenham, and second to Redford Road over 3 miles in December at Cheltenham. The forward Mossy Fenn has come out, and obviously Frank's form winning at Warwick. The only thing about it is that I was speaking to Paddy Power this morning, and he has a leg in this Bossman Fred, and he said it's working really well. And they're hopeful enough that it'll win here and it will run at the Albert Bartlett at the festival. So it would just hold me back a small bit with Champagne Well then. that they're expecting a big run from Bastan Fred.
Righty-ho, and Stu.
Yeah, I kind of feel we're just overlooking the obvious a little bit here with Ramesses De Mai, because he's going back novice hurdling, and obviously he's been a pretty decent chaser. He was second in a Welsh national off a mark of 1:44. I don't think there are many in here that I would nail on as being capable of doing that. And obviously, yeah, you do get these horses that they're lit up for chasing and they're much better for it, but he won a novice hurdle earlier this season. It was a markedly better performance over hurdles than he had previously shown. He's on his hurdling form, he deserves to be in here. On his chase form, he's shown considerably more than the rest of them.
Okay, let's move on to the 240, the Yorkshire Rose Mares Hurdle over 2 miles. One of the best races I've seen all season was at Doncaster at the back end of last year. Lady Buttons beat La Bague au Roi and who was the other one?
Happy Diva.
Happy Diva. It was such a brilliant, it was a fantastic finish, great advert for mares races. And Lady Buttons is back on Townmoor for this, and I believe she heads the market, Frank.
Yeah, she's 6-4. Floretta's 2-1. Irish Row 5-1. This rally 7-1, and we're 14s bar.
And Frank, who wins?
It's just very difficult to look beyond Lady Buttons. Look, when she gets stepped up in grade in open company, she kind of gets found out a little. But when she's running against mares away from grade 1 company, she's won her last 5. And while Floretta is full of potential, I think the bare form of that Newbury run probably leaves her with a little bit behind with Lady Buttons here. And I just think, while I'm tipping up another favourite, it's difficult to see Lady Buttons being.
A few favs coming from you today, Frank. It's got to be said, my friend.
Yeah, it's not my usual, but it's hard to oppose a few of them.
We might have to build a Frank Favs multiple. Stu, Lady Buttons for you?
Yeah, I think she probably does win. The one that I'd just give a squeak against her is Irish Rose. She's one of those horses that, like, this is her track, these are her conditions. She's won the race before. She's got a decent level of form, and I would say Lady Buttons is probably a classier horse, and the way she goes in these mares hurdles, it's just like she's just got that little bit more up her sleeve. But yeah, I could see Irish Row running a big race and actually being the one she's got to beat.
DJ, did you watch that race? It was bloody brilliant.
Oh, it was amazing to watch. Yeah. It was one of them races that kind of got lost with all the action over Christmas, and it was just brilliant to watch. Yeah, fantastic. But I completely disagree with the two lads. This is possibly my strongest fancy of the entire day. I think Floretta will win this. I really do. I'm surprised at Frank, because I usually agree with Frank, and Frank is saying he's picking holes in the Newbury form. The Newbury form is the main reason I fancy Floretta. She beat Jeremy's Flame, who came out in the Grade 1 Talwart at Sandown and finished second to Fiddler on the Roof. The third horse that day was Silver Forever, who absolutely bolted up at Sandown next time. To me, that form is red hot. It really is. Even the time before against Silver Forever, like Floretta was on front, a stride before the line and a stride after the line. It was just on the nod that she was beaten. She is lightning over her hurdles. She is so slick. She really is. And like, even when you go by ratings, she hasn't got a chance to achieve what Lady Buttons has achieved. She's already rated 142. Lady Buttons 146. She's getting £4, and I think she is going to go on to be much better than she's shown so far. And I think those crop of mares, them mares novices, I think they're quite good this year. I think they're really strong, and Floretta is as good as any of them, and I think she'll win this. Floretta, for me, 2-1 is a great price.
Okay, the 3:15. If you want competitiveness, the 3:15 at Doncaster is the race for you. It's the Sky Bet Handicap Chase over 3 miles, 14 runners, nice and open. Extra places, Frank, yeah?
We're 5 places here, which is great value, really, with the 14 runners. Dingo Dollar is our 92 favourite. Azerti 6-1. Cobra De Mai 7-1. OK Corral, Ravenhill Road, and Finger on the Switch, and Burbank are all 8-1. Chilswell's 10-1, and we're 11-1 bar.
And as with all these offers that Frank talks about, they're available at Paddy Power. They're also available at racingpost.com and through the Racing Post app. And if you haven't downloaded it, you really, really should. It's the best companion for watching the racing with. Stu, who wins the 3:15?
The horse that caught my eye here was John Joe O'Neill's Quarenta. Thought very interesting horse for this sort of race, because when you get these sort of classy 3-mile chases for handicappers, they tend to get racing nice and early. You generally want a horse that stays a bit further. He's won over a little bit further. I thought that was a big positive. Handles the ground. John Joe O'Neill Jr. is in great form at the moment. Going up there for just 2 rides, and yeah, that was the one that'll do for me.
12-1, Quarenta. Who for you, Stewie? Not Stewie, DJ.
I'm going to take a flyer on one here at a big price, Bruce. Good man Pat, who is becoming ridiculously well handicapped for the ability that this horse has. Like, he's down to a mark of 134. Alexander Thorne is booked, taking off £7. So this guy is a pretty decent rider, I think. So he's basically running off a mark of 127, which is embarrassing for this horse, because this horse has ability. He really does. Now, he needs to sort his jumping out. Like last time in the Caspian Caviar Gold Cup, he hit every second fence. He just didn't enjoy the hustle and bustle of it. But he still had enough ability to somehow get himself back into some sort of contention coming down the hill. And I just think stepping up to 3 miles on a flat track like Doncaster is going to suit much better than Cheltenham did. The time before at Ascot, in a really, really strong 3-mile chase, he traded at a low of 1.33 in running that day. He looked like a winner, just didn't quite get home. I think that the run since will bring him on, and I just can't help thinking he has far more ability than his mark. So good man Pat for me. He'll be a big double figure price.
OK, so the lads have both gone for 12-1 shots. What about Frank, the favourite fancy? Are you going to go for Dingo Dollar here?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Quarenta as well here, Bruce. The making of him has been stepping up to 3 miles plus. He's had 7 starts over 3 miles or further. He's had 3 wins in 2 seconds. I thought he was a little bit unlucky at Kempton the last day behind Just the Sting. He hit the second last. He was beaten just ahead. John Neal's just an unbelievable. I keep saying he's a brilliant jockey. Just as I said, he's in a bit of form again. He had a nice winner at Newbury last week, Django. This one kind of reminds me of him a small bit. I think there's a bit more. He's gone up £4 for Kempton, but I think there's a bit more in him. And the ground drying out will definitely be a plus for him as well. I just think at 12-1, he's a very fair each way bet, particularly with the extra places on offer.
Yeah, 2 votes for Quarenta, 1 for Goodman Pat. Both those sources are 12-1 with Paddy Power. Right, let's see what everyone else fancies, or what everyone fancies away from the ITV cameras. We've got Fairyhouse, Uttoxeter, Lingfield, the rest of Cheltenham, the rest of Doncaster. Stu, what have you got for us?
My big other fancy is at Cheltenham in the Triumph Hurdle Trial. Nicky Henderson has a horse in there, Monte Cristo, who's 11-10 with Paddy Power, and they have been talking this thing up a hell of a lot. It's one of those in the Manere and Suede silks. They seem to think he's a genuine Triumph Hurdle horse. I'm going to take him on with Roland Ward, which is trained by Stuart Edmonds, and it beat a very similar Nicky Henderson, Manere and Suede horse at Kempton last time, who was a listed winner on the flat in France and had a very similar profile. So yeah, I think Roland Ward really impressed me that day, did it quite nicely, and at a decent price of 5-2, I think that's my bet on the undercards.
And that's in the 12.40 at Cheltenham. DJ, what have you got for us?
Yeah, just start off in the 12.55 at Doncaster. Only 4 runners in this novice chase, but it's a cracker. I think Mr. Fisher has got a proper big chance in the March novice chase, formerly the JLT at Cheltenham. And I'd be disappointed if he doesn't win this en route. I think he's the potential to be top class over fences. There's a really, really, really interesting card at Fairyhouse. It's not like grade 1 or 2 stuff, but it's really interesting. In the opening beginners chase, you've got Allaho, who could be really, really good over fences. You've got Early Doors, who won the Martin Pipe at Cheltenham this year, and I think it's been laid out for a handicap at the festival this year. You've got Schoolboy Hours, Advantage Point, Milan Native, Walk Away. It's a really good race, but I think Allaho will probably win that. He's going to be short. And then in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, we spoke earlier about the race at Doncaster, about the good crop of Mayor's Novices. You've got Dalchita, who's favourite for the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, and on jockey bookings is the 3rd choice from the Willie Mullen stable in the 210 at Fairyhouse. Mark Walsh rides Dalchita. Paul Townend, who would have had the choice of all of these, rides Yukon Lil. And Colreevy is in there, a grade 1 bumper winner as well, with Danny Mullins on board. So that is really, really interesting. And there's a horse in this race called Jim on Lime, who apparently is held in the highest regards by Jessica Harrington, a winner in France on its sole start. So that is a really, really interesting race. It's not a tipping race, but those 2 races, if you're looking ahead to Cheltenham, you have to watch them at Fairyhouse. But my best bet on the Fairyhouse card is in the maiden hurdle. It's the 2:45, and it is called Santa Rosa. That's trained by Dermot McLaughlin. Adam Shore takes the ride. Ran a cracker in the Geldings bumper. She's a mare, but ran in the Geldings bumper at Aintree last year. I think she could turn into a really, really nice hurdler. So Santa Rosa in the 2:45 at Fairyhouse.
Thank you, DJ. Frank?
Yeah, the only thing really caught my eye was Go With The Flow in Cheltenham in the 1:15. Horse had a bit of a reputation with Ben Pauling early days. little bit disappointing, but he's starting to get his act together this year. Last time out of Kenton, he came from a fair bit back. I don't know if you remember the race that Eric LaRouge won, but Mercy and Prince blasted out in front, and Eric LaRouge kind of sat off in thick length, and then was a break back to the group, and nothing really gone into it. But this go with the flow gave the winner, was the only one to come out of the pack and give him a race, beaten 3/4 of a length. He's been raised £5, was a tiny bit harsh, but Ben Pauling's stable is in a bit of form again now after a really quiet spell. And I just thought he was an eye catcher that day, and he can rate a bit higher than 133, albeit it looks a very competitive race.
OK, let's get the Saturday naps.
This will not be beaten.
Stuart Riley.
My nap is Bristol De Mai in the 2:25 at Cheltenham, the Cotswolds Chase.
What a brilliant nap. DJ.
Floressa, 2:40 Doncaster.
And Frank.
3 o'clock Cheltenham, King Roland.
Lovely stuff. And Frank, I believe there's some decent international action tomorrow night as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, just the Pegasus World Cup is on over in Gulfstream. The turf were informed by the international traders that we're out to get Magic Wand in that race. We're going to be very competitively priced on her. And in the dirt race itself, the two favourites have come out, which is a bit of a blow to the race. But I think it might be they had issues, but the race isn't of as good quality as it used to be. Might be a reason would be that the prize fund has dropped a fair bit. I think it was 10 million a few years ago. I think it's only about $3 million now. Mucho Gusto's our favourite. We've been keeping that on side all week, and we are probably saved from the fact we were keeping on side after the two at the top of the market came out. But it's interesting racing, and it's not on it too late either. I think they're on about 10 to 10 and half 10 tomorrow night. So might be worth watching if you're not gone to bed or watching match of the day.
Lovely stuff. We're back with Sunday next.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet the next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back. It's the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. Bruce Millington, Stuart Riley, David Jennings and Paddy Powers. Frank the Tank Hickey. Let's look ahead to 2 really good races at Naas on Sunday over in Ireland. 140 is the Limestone Lad Hurdle. It's a grade 3 over 2 miles. We haven't got any prices yet, but the field is Big Blue, Franco de Port, Jetes, Mengley Khan, off you go, Stormy Island and Sutton Place. DJ, who should we be looking out for here?
I'm just laughing, thinking of myself and Frank. Remember Sutton Place, Frank? We were both all over that for the Gold Cup a few years ago, but it didn't really materialise. I think it's going to be very straightforward, Bruce. I think Stormy Ireland will be popped out in front. She won't see another rival. I think she's better this year than any other year. She looked really good at Leopardstown over Christmas. She's rated 148. And if anything, I don't know if that does her justice. I think she's a little bit better than that. I think she's a low 150s mare, and she's getting better. So Stormy Ireland for me.
Sutton Place has superb form figures. 1p/1p/. Frank, can Sutton Place figure in this?
Be very difficult. I don't know what prices they'll be, but I'm with DJ here. I think Stormy Ireland is about the only one with no negatives next to her, really. Like Sutton Place hasn't run in a couple of years. Off you go, has been chasing. Mengley Khan looks to hate the game. Jetes is coming off the back of a fall over fences. Franco de Port was found out the last day, stepped up in grade, and Big Blue's coming over from Australia. So I think I'll just keep it simple, and I think Stormy Ireland will do what DJ said.
Roughly what price do you think?
I'd be surprised if she's not odds on. But as I said, I haven't priced it up properly, but I'd be surprised if she's not 4 to 5 or 8 to 11 anyway.
Okay, do you go along with the boys there, Stu?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Stormy Island's the obvious one. Sutton Place is the one I'm most looking forward to seeing. I think I had an argument with DJ back in the day as to whether he should be going champion hurdle or stayers hurdle. Like, we both thought he was very good and weren't sure which way he'd go.
Maybe the 2020 Limestone Lad was the target all along.
It wouldn't put it past them. They like the long game.
Right, 2:10 at Naas. It's the Naas Racecourse Business Club Novice Chase. Over 3 miles, and one of the Cheltenham Festival favourites runs here, carefully selected, who is the jolly for what we used to call the 4-miler, but we now call the 3 mile 6 furlong. Up against Elwood, Forza Milan, Ronald Pump, Small Farm, Spyglass Hill. Frank, any danger to carefully selected here?
Well, Ronald Pump has been going all right this year. Obviously was behind Thacker Jury in the Drinmore. He'd be maybe a small danger, but I think the danger is the fences for carefully selected. I think anyone who's on him for the National Hunt Chase will just want him to get around and finish in the first 4 and be qualified and have no messing. I know he's only got the 1 entry, but with the new conditions of the race, he needs to finish in the first 4 over a trip of 2 mile 7, I think, or further to qualify. Once he does that, I'll be full steam ahead for the National Hunt Chase, and I think he'll take a bit of beating, not just on Sunday, but in that race as well.
DJ, just tell us what's going on here, because Faheen's popped up in the entries for that as well, hasn't he? What's going on here?
Yeah, I see. This is really interesting because obviously the conditions for the National Hunt Chase has changed, and I think this is a screaming loud and clear how much they fancy this horse for the National Hunt Chase, because to come out a couple of days ago and win a race, and then to be entered in a Grade 3 straight away after. And I think what they're doing basically is, in case this horse has a mishap and makes a mistake on seats Paul Townend, it's obviously not qualified for the race. And there's only one more chance after that, and that's a 10 up at Navan. So you run out of options for these races over 2 mile 7 plus, especially when you've won a beginner's chase. There's no other option. So he's only got this race and the race at Navan. So he literally had to come here and then obviously build them up for Cheltenham then. And yeah, he's going to take a lot of beating. With Faheen, I think Faheen is going to run in the flow gas at Leopardstown next Sunday. That's 2 mile 5. Obviously, that means he wouldn't be qualified for the race at Cheltenham, the National Hunt Chase. But I think he's going to go for the Marsh Novice Chase at Cheltenham. Spoke to Patrick during the week, and that was the way he was talking, that Faheen would go for that race at Leopardstown and that Carefully Selected would run here. And he can't wait to ride this horse in the National Hunt Chase.
OK, Stewie, what do you make? Carefully Selected win this and then potentially go on and win at Cheltenham?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the obvious one at the moment, wouldn't it? There doesn't look like there's anything else in there that you'd be too worried about. OK, jolly good. Thank you very much indeed, chaps. We're back on Monday to review the action. We've got football on Thursday, and then we're back next Friday looking ahead to a really, really special weekend. It's the Dublin Racing Festival, 2 days of absolutely superb action, and we will have all the tips and all the best bets for that. So hopefully you can join us for that. In the meantime, have a good weekend, bet responsibly, and thanks for joining us.
I'm Jose Mourinho. I know a thing or two about being special. Getting a road named after you in your hometown, special. Winning the daily jackpot on Paddy Power Games, not special.
Understood, Jose. Yes, someone wins an average £40,000 jackpot every single day. So if you win, don't think you're special. Daily Jackpots by Paddy Power Games. Jackpots must be awarded by 11 p.m. and vary from day to day. Jackpot is shared with other operators. Available on selected games. T's and C's at paddypower.com. 18+ BeGambleAware.org.